नित्यानन्देश्वरसमारम्भां नित्यानन्देश्वरिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. I welcome all the devotees, disciples, Samajis, Satsangis, Sri Mahants, Mahants, Tanidars, Kotaris, sitting with us through Nityananda TV, Sadhana TV, and two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha sitting with us in two-way video conferencing, having Nayana Diksha, Seattle Chidambaram, Los Angeles Arunachalam, Toronto Tirukkailayam, San Jose Madurai, Guadalupe, Suva Fiji, Oklahoma, Kuala Lumpur, Ohio, Chennai, Oman, Phillip Island, Phoenix, Houston, Coimbatore, Warrington, Charlotte, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, London, Vancouver, New York, Varanasi, Hyderabad, Rajapalayam, Singapore, Bangalore North, Madurai, Hyderabad, Trinidad, Kastau, Croatia, and some more cities joining. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. I'll continue to expand on 7th verse. Please recite the 7th verse along with me. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaiva bhut vijanatah tatrako mohaka shokah ekatvam anupashyatah. Listen. In one who has cognized the reality, all existing beings becomes very self. Then what delusion, what sorrow of incompletion can there be for that seer living in the space of oneness, living Advaita? Listen. Last few days I was expanding on how the love current, constantly engaging yourself in love current, all your actions centered on love current, how that can make you experience oneness with everything, everything in oneness. Oneness with everything, everything with oneness. This oneness experience can be gained. Experience of oneness can become eternal in you. Means not only gaining the experience, you getting established in that experience. When you just soak constantly in the experience, you radiate extraordinary powers. Every time you break a pattern with the clarity of oneness, with the cognition of oneness, you will have one extraordinary power. Every time you break a pattern, not only you are free from the pattern, you get extraordinary power to you. When you break this eating disorder patterns, not only you are free from the eating disorder patterns, you will also have the power to ability to manipulate your stomach, your health as you want. The man who is out of the eating disorder patterns means, please understand what I define as eating disorder. Physically, physiologically, psychologically, due to any of this reason, having exact timing for food is eating disorder. Understand? For physical reason, oh, I may get tired. I'm getting tired. Physiological reason, oh, I'll have gas. If I don't eat, I'll have acidity or diabetes. Psychological reason, oh, if I don't eat, I'll die. Physical, physiological, psychological. Due to any one of these reasons, having a stern time for eating is eating disorder. The right eating is beautifully described by a great saint from Tamil Nadu, the Valluvanayanar. Beautifully is described. மருந்தென வேண்டாவாம் யாக்கைக்கு அருந்தியது அற்றது போற்றி உனின் means you don't need medicine for your body if you eat the food knowing that earlier what you have eaten has left the body. If you eat after the earlier eaten food left the body, you don't need medicine forever to your body. Before the next meal, be very clear as it left the body. My earlier meal has been digested and cleaned. So every time before you plan for eating, just see whether what you have eaten earlier has left your body. It has become part of you as energy. Whatever energy needs to be absorbed, whatever remaining has left your body. If it is not, use Jalabasti, get it out, then go for the next meal. I think this is one of the important discovery I found from my own experience. This is what I will describe as orderly eating. So for all my disciples who want to eat properly, orderly eating, I will prescribe this as one of the important rule. Whether you are a Balasant, Sant or Kotari, Tanedar, follower, disciple, whoever wants to follow me, please take this up as a rule. After every meal, if you take little Haritaki powder, very little, before the next meal, clean your stomach, clean your bowels. If you are not able to, then have at least enema Jalabasti. then go for the next meal. So do not allow two meals to be acquired in your stomach. மருந்தென வேண்டாவாம் யாக்கைக்கு அருந்தியது அற்றது போற்றி உணின். Understand? Every time you break a pattern, you get extraordinary powers. In this case, about this eating disorder pattern, if you break your eating disorder pattern, not only you will be free from that pattern, you will have powers to manipulate your body and mind as you want. If you have done at least one D-samyama, then you will know how you can manipulate your body. You can just play with it. You can play with it. All the stupid theories of acidity, diabetes, tiredness associated to food are true as long as you associate them, not otherwise. I was reading in the Facebook, somebody wrote, one of the biggest prison human beings suffer is what others think about themselves. I tell you, no, there is bigger prison, what you think about you. What you think about you is the bigger prison than what others think about you. What others think about you is able to give you suffering because what you think about you gets altered based on what others think about you. If what you think about you stays stably, so what others think about you will never be a prison for you. Because what you think about you is so lucid and lucid. What others think about you becomes a prominent prison. Be very clear. If what others think about you is a prison in which you are stuck, what you think about you is the cell inside the prison where you are stuck. It is much more suffocating. Much more suffocating. What others think about you, if you think that is a prison, what you think about you is a cell inside the prison where you are locked. Please understand. What others think about you impacts only your external life. What you think about you impacts directly your body, your mind. Anybody who has done one D-samyama can just play with their so-called diabetes, so-called gastric or acidity, all problem related to hunger. They can cause miracles. I tell you, most of the concepts the so-called modern medicine is teaching, and what a foolish thing. See, all the ancient systems of living healthy life just by handling your food properly, herbs, leaves, the natural things is called alternative medicine. What a naming, you see. And swallowing these pills and chemicals and putting you in more and more trouble is called mainstream medicine. Most of our concepts about body and health, I should classify them under a title called stupidopathy. No, really, most of our concepts about health, diet, medicine, medical care, we trust metal more than currency because for ages we have been a metal civilization, not currency civilization. Understand, currency was pushed upon us, on us very recently. Those days, even currency had a value because of the metal in which the currency is made. Currency itself independently did not have a value. The gold with which the coin is made, that gold had a value, not the declaration by the king or the administrator that this is this much valuable. Understand? Trusting only Vaishyas for wealth was our civilization. Now, our money is by Kshatriyas, politicians, administrators. Please understand. That is why I am saying your money is not money. Because the person who is going to transact that community, what they value only can be valuable in society. See, when there is a crisis, what is going to get you your food? That is decided only by only by Vaishyas, not by Kshatriyas. But it is unfortunate, the whole lot of confusion. Somebody has put the comment in the Facebook. Why we built, why in India they didn't build hospitals, schools? How do you call them as evolved civilization? In every village, largest building of that village is the common utility building, where we had school, hospital, cinema theatre, art gallery, life science teaching place, and ultimately teaching enlightenment. The place we call it as temple. Understand, we call that as a temple. All. It is not just a mall, it is all. Everything about life is done there. Whether storing the grain, teaching principles, or medical care, everything is done there. And moreover, our lifestyle was such, we did not need so much of hospitalization. From the beginning, we were taking care of ourselves. And an important thing, very important thing, when time comes, we were gracefully able to leave. Say bye-bye, because we know we will come back. We were not that poor. psychologically or consciously, we were holding on to one body. See, when you want to hold on to that one body only, you need so much of medical care. We just know when we need, we will make the body recover. When it is time, body is too damaged. Come on, drop it, pick up another one. I tell you, till the science about the life, the true science about the life is taught to humanity, humanity is not going to get out of this addiction to medicines. That is why I am insisting. Why do they call it alternative medicine when it is the original medicine that humans have been using for thousands of years? Chemical medications were discovered about 100 years ago, or maybe 200 years. That's all. Brutally destroying the zonal food practices, brutally destroying the regional dressing practices, brutally destroying the regional medical practices, brutally destroying the regional religious practices, by brutally destroying the regional education practices, by brutally destroying the regional physical, mental, conscious belief patterns. We are the last generation who had traditional, regional belief faith parents. Please understand. We are the last generation who had parents, had the best Vedic traditional understanding about body, mind, and consciousness. Over. Finished. I know the kind of a faith about his own body and mind and consciousness my grandfather used to have. My grandmother's mother, I have seen her. I have seen my grandmother's mother. Just the vibhuti, the sacred ash from temple, was the medicine for her till the death. My grandfather, he died after 90s. In his whole life, he got hospitalized only twice. Only twice. Such hard-working man. The kind of a faith he had about his own body, the kind of a, it is a mechanism, please understand, it's actually a mechanism. What you cognize about your body, your mind, you, it's a mechanism. Whatever you cognize becomes reality. And I have seen the faith he had about himself. I am so thankful to him because he took care that the idea of sickness never settles inside my system. By seeing him and living around him, health became my basic cognition. Of course, my Guru Raghupati Yogi is extraordinary. Forget about him. He is totally a body of miracles. He is just bunch of miracles, that's all. Anything he does will be miracle. He will just sip the cold water through the nose and spit that water through mouth, and it will be boiling water. I have seen the kind of a play he will do. And he will sip the hot coffee through the mouth and just start releasing that through the nose. By the time it reaches the ground, it will become an ice bar. Please understand, ice cube. Means he can play anything with his body. He can make his body as the hot boiler or the freezer. I've seen with my own eyes he cooking just by touching the pot. The mud pot, he will put the water, rice, and just touch it. In 2-3 minutes, the rice is ready. He will tell, come on, eat. The kind of a heat he can generate through his body, or a cold he can generate through his body. His body was a boiler, freezer, all put together. Early morning, when he wakes me up and takes me to temple to teach yoga, during this Margazhi months, the water will be very cold. I have seen him doing this multiple times. He will just point the area where I am taking bath, that area will be warm, sometimes even hot water. In the temple tank, he will just put his finger and say, come on, take bath. It will be warm water or hot water. Never I felt the cold. That is totally different level. I am talking normal, so-called your plane, my grandfather. The kind of a faith he had about his body. We are the last generation who have seen those kind of people. See, our ancient body, mind, conscious mechanism, ideas, concepts were told to us by our old mother, old grandmother, grandfather, in a very colloquial way, in casual evenings or night stories. Hey, if you are feeling feverish, apply Vibhuti from Shiva temple, it will become all right, don't worry. But the modern ideas are being told to you in the high light and high sound, literally breaking your nerves. Understand? I always tell you, whatever I do, you should not do, because what I am doing, I am making myself to settle down. Whenever I find I am not able to sit and do the administration work, I will switch on the TV. I will never watch that stupid box. That one thing God saved me. I never have interest on it. But that light and sound keeps me settled on the ground. But you are already in the, where more you will go down. Anyhow, This time when I went to Tiruvannamalai, I spent a lot of time with all the sannyasis who were with me and explaining the stories of each and every stone and pillar. Suddenly I realized, just 30 years before, I had at least 50 people, ideal, great, enlightened beings in Tiruvannamalai. Thinnai Swami, Sakku Swami, Sorakka Swami, Narayana Swami, Mauna Swami, Annamalai Swamigal, Raghupati Yogi, Kuppammal, just 30 years before. I had at least 50 beings who were visibly radiating the power of that Shivoham experience. See, in my case, if you come to a program and see your Kundalini gets awakened, see hundreds of people's Kundalini getting awakened, healing happens, then you feel, oh, I think this guy has power, I think he has enlightenment. You come to a conclusion only indirect way. But I have seen the masters was so visibly, directly, shamelessly declaring the power of Mahadeva. That's the right word I'll use. Shamelessly declaring the power of Mahadeva. I have seen on Swami Suraka. He was called Suraka Swami locally. Suraka means bottle gourd. Why? Because in front of him on half bottle gourd, that shell will be there, in which people will put food. Whenever he feels like he will eat, and otherwise he won't. And next person who wants to offer food to him, he will empty that bottle gourd and clean it and put the fresh food and keep it and go. He had some 25-30 dogs, his friends. Throughout his life, he lived in 3 feet by 3 feet small structure. Please understand, I have never seen him moving. I even doubt his bones all got frozen. I know he is alive because he used to talk to people sometime. And he will smile sometime. His hands will move. Because of that, I know he is alive. No 1, 2, 3. No 1, 2, 3. Because the birds have started sitting on his head and eating from his hair. Some of his disciples have followers have made a small stone pillared hall. You can't say hall and all, just 4 pillars around his body and 2 stone on the top. If you see that structure, you will understand. It's only 3 feet by 3 feet. His whole life he sat. Sometimes his sitting posture will be different. That is why we can even presume that he is still alive. Never seen him doing 1, 2, 3 or taking bath, moving out. But the kind of a space he will radiate and the way he will be sitting. It was so visibly declaring the powers of yogic tradition. Like this, I have seen at least 50 people through extraordinary lifestyle amazingly declaring the yogic powers. living the powers of Mahadeva, radiating the powers of Mahadeva. I feel, I don't want to say anything about Arunachala because Mahadeva never tolerates. When Madurai was burnt, he kept quiet. Even Meenakshi did not bother. But when one saint was even about to curse Tiruvannamalai, Mahadeva just came and held the neck. Hey, my city, you can't do anything. You should not do anything. So I don't want to tell anything about Tiruvannamalai. I feel this generation looks so poor without that 50 of them. Without that 50 of them, this generation looks so poor. I told Mahadeva, it's now my responsibility to put again at least few hundred people as a garland to you who are in the same state of those 50. I'll do it. I'll do it. Just like how we get wooden pillars from the old houses and refurbish and give it back to society, I'll get the old souls from Kailasa, refurbish them with a modern language and knowledge to reach out to the world, humanity, and give it to humanity. No, I really felt without that 50 people, humanity is so poor. It doesn't know the possibilities. It doesn't have any more living examples. By living as an example the things Ram Sarat Kumar used to teach, the Swarakka Swami, Mauna Swami, Annamala Swami, Thinnai Swami, Sadhuvom, Kuppammal, Isaki Swami, Raghupati Yogi, all of them just 30 years before. I am not even talking about Ramana Maharshi's generation. Humanity has become so poor without them. Because now none of you even have one single living example to see and learn. To see and learn. Right concepts about body. Right faith, cognition about mind. Right biomemory. The right concepts about body, mind, consciousness. Is the richness, ultimate richness. Right ideas you carry about you gives you the experience of oneness. Oneness. Neither by building hundreds of houses for yourself, nor by building companies for yourself, or by accumulating more and more cars. Oneness is not experienced by all these. I'm not saying don't buy house, don't build house, don't buy car. No. All I am trying to tell you is let that just be utility, not goal of your life. If the utility becomes goal of your life, you live in stupidity. As I said, stupidopathy. Where elongating your life becomes goal. No. Purpose of your life should be goal. Meaning of your life should be goal, not elongating your life. If you know the meaning, you know the right length, right number of years you need to live. Number of years you live is not defining your success. The meaning of your life defines your success. With this, I'll move to the next segment of the morning satsang. I'll continue to expand on the truth of oneness in the further satsangs. Today's subject for Vakyartha Sadas, the right concepts about body, mind, consciousness which leads you to experience oneness. How the concepts others carry about you impacts the concept you carry about you. How the concepts you carry about you is important to experience oneness. Tomorrow's subject for Vakyartha Sadas is stupidopathy. How we eat stupid ideas and vomit disease. I'm blessing you all. Let you all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Advaita.
Nityananda Dhyanapitham, Nityananda Nagar, off Mysore Road, Bidadi, Bengaluru. Phone 08027279999. www.nityananda.org, www.youtube.com/lifeblissfoundation.